Hello everyone, I'm Manu Parami and I'm an applications engineer at Plexim. I'd like to welcome you to this hands-on tutorial video on getting started with PLECS. PLECS is a unique tool for the fast simulation of power electronic circuits. There are two versions of PLECS: PLECS Standalone, which is an independent simulation platform, and PLECS Blockset, which works within the Simulink environment. In this video, we will build a simple model in PLECS Standalone. The circuit we are going to model is a simple buck converter, first with an Openloop Controller, and then we will close the loop with a Hysteresis type controller. To enter the circuit into PLECS, we must first open a new PLECS model. This is done by selecting New Model from the File menu in the library browser, or by clicking on Create New Model in the welcome screen. This yellow schematic window that appears is the modeling interface. In the PLECS library browser, you will find various components from which you can create your circuits. You may always pull up the library browser from the window menu of the schematic window or by pressing Ctrl L. The electrical components that we need for the buck converter can be found under the PLECS electrical library in the sub-libraries called Sources, Meters, Passive Components, and Power Semiconductors. Components can be placed in the model window by dragging and dropping from the library. We start with the electrical part of the buck converter, first by placing a DC voltage source at the input. Then we place the passive components. If we want to change the orientation of a component, we can do it from the Format menu, which has options for rotating, inverting, and flipping. The same commands can be done using keyboard shortcuts such as Ctrl R to rotate. Each component in PLECS has a set of customizable parameters. A double click on the component icon opens a dialog box in which you can set these parameters. If you want a parameter to be displayed in the schematic, check the checkbox on the right side of the edit field. Values in PLECS must be entered as the decimal value directly or by using exponential or scientific E notation. Prefixes such as M for milli or U for micro are not valid, as these can otherwise be used for custom variable names. Once a parameter value is displayed on the schematic, you can directly edit it. As I just mentioned, in addition to providing values or vectors of values to a component parameter, we can also provide a variable name. Let's assign a variable name to the input voltage and revisit this topic shortly. We want to monitor the source current and the load voltage, which require an ammeter and a voltmeter respectively. Notice that each component has either black circles to represent electrical terminals or green arrowheads to represent control signal terminals. If we bring the mouse pointer close to such a terminal, the pointer shape changes from an arrow to a cross. We can now drag a connection to another component by holding the left mouse button down. When we approach another terminal of the same connection type, the pointer shape changes into a double cross. As soon as we release the mouse button, a new connection will be created. You can also simply click on the first component, and while holding down the Alt key on the keyboard, click on the second component to create such a connection automatically. A common error is to bring two wires close to one another but not fully join them. So be sure that a connection is made. In addition to creating wires by connecting component ports, we can create a branch from an existing connection using the right mouse button and dragging. These black lines now represent electrical connections and can be thought of as wires carrying currents. Notice that the meters have green terminals, which will allow them to join to signal connections. Electrical connections cannot be fed into a scope directly. You must always use a volt or an ammeter to convert the electrical quantities into a signal first. Or you can simply use a probe block To associate a component with the probe block, drag the component of interest onto it in the schematic and release your mouse once an arrow appears. You can also drag the component of interest into the probe editor window. Next, we need to model the transistor and the diode. The transistor can be modeled using a controllable switch or an ideal IGBT or MOSFET component, bearing in mind that it may conduct current in only one direction. We will use a MOSFET component for the transistor. We also need a freewheeling diode. The diode is a switch that closes as the voltage across it becomes positive and opens as the current through it becomes negative. These components can be found in the power semiconductors sublibrary. All components in this sublibrary are based on ideal switches that have zero on resistance and infinite off resistance. They open and close instantaneously. While I add the MOSFET, I will demonstrate that you can connect a component into an existing connection simply by dropping it on a wire. Now, the use of ideal switches in modeling offers three major advantages: ease of use, numerical robustness, and fast simulation speed. In some components, like the diode, you may add a forward voltage or a non-zero on resistance. If you're unsure about these values, you should leave them at 0. By the way, although each power semiconductor switch is modeled as ideal, PLECS users can still model losses and estimate temperatures using the PLECS thermal domain. This is a topic covered in a separate tutorial video. This completes the electrical circuit. To hide a component's name on the schematic, right-click on the component, then, from the Format menu, uncheck Show Name or use the appropriate keyboard shortcut. It's time to provide a control input to the switch. We will start off with a simple Openloop Controller. I will drag and drop a pulse generator block. This block generates periodic rectangular wave pulses at a specified frequency and duty cycle. Connect the output of this block to the switch. Now, we will use a PLECS Scope to monitor the results. Instead of browsing for the components in the library, you can also search for them by entering the first letters of the component you need in the search bar. For example, as I start to type the word scope, the components with names matching the string will appear in the results. Notice that the scope block has only one plot by default. You can choose to insert more plots to the existing scope window. Or, we can use a multiplexer block, which will allow us to combine multiple waveforms into the same scope plot. The output of the multiplexer now has one connection that has a width of 2. The source current waveform will be overlaid with the load voltage waveform. Now, let's return to our input voltage value. From the simulation menu, we can access the simulation parameters settings window. In the initialization tab, we can specify parameter initializations like the input voltage. Finally, we can go back to the first tab and choose the settings for the numerical solver. In this case, we will leave the default settings for the non-stiff, continuous time or variable step solver and just change the simulation stop time to 1/10 of a second. A simulation can be started either from the simulation menu or the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+T. The PLECS Scope will then allow you to view the resulting waveforms and analyze and manipulate the data graphically. Advanced zooming and panning features, as well as data cursors, allow you to obtain the data you need directly within the scope. For example, we can see the switched nature of the waveforms and related characteristics such as the voltage ripple. A separate tutorial video details the features of the PLECS Scope. Next, we will replace the Openloop controller with the hysteresis type controller. We can separate certain parts of the complete model from one another using subsystems, such as the electrical part from the control part in this case. This has no effect on the simulation result, but makes the whole system more structured. To connect what is contained within the subsystem to the outer schematic, we need to place ports into it. We can duplicate a component using copy and paste from the edit menu, or the standard keyboard shortcuts, or by holding the Control key and dragging from an existing component. You will notice that a new terminal appears in the subsystem icon for each port that you drag into the subsystem schematic. To move these terminals along the icon's frame, drag them with the mouse while holding down the Shift key. Optionally, you can rename the signal ports. For the buck converter, we will implement a hysteresis type control that keeps the capacitor voltage roughly in a plus or minus 0.2 volt band around 6 volts. This involves using a constant block as a reference set point and feeding back the measured load voltage. An error signal is then generated as the difference of the set point and measured voltage. And this is then fed to a relay block whose output is now the gating signal to the switch. The control scheme here sets the gate signal to the switch high if the load voltage falls below 5.8 volts and the gate signal to low if the voltage increases above 6.2 volts. We are simply regulating the current flow through the inductor and therefore the charge state of the capacitor. To make things a bit more interesting, we can apply a step change in the input. We replace the constant input source with a controlled input source. A step function block allows you to schedule a value to increase or decrease in the time at which this occurs during the simulation. So we will use one to change the signal that is fed into the input at midpoint of the simulation from 12 volts to 8 volts. We can then observe how well the controller regulates out this disturbance to maintain the desired capacitor voltage. This buck converter model is a basic power electronics application. PLECS is capable of simulating much larger systems, such as a wind turbine, connected to the power grid. Demo models are included in PLECS and provide an idea of many different systems that it can be used to help design. This concludes the tutorial video on Introduction to PLECS Standalone. For more videos and other information, please visit our website at www.plexim.com. Thank you for watching.